Avatar: The Last Airbender is finally a big deal again. Everybody's talking about it. But what exactly is it that makes it so legendary? Ultimately, there's only one thing that makes or breaks a franchise, and that's the characters. Luckily, the entire cast of this series is full of iconic heroes. Aang's journey to master all 4 elements before Sozin's comet arrives makes for quite the character arc.
Appa, yip yip!
He starts off as just a silly kid who runs away from the responsibilities thrust upon him. In the end, though, he becomes the true hero we all knew he could be. That's really impressive when you realize the entire series takes place in under a year, which is why Aang had a very successful business as a personal trainer after he saved the world. The rest of Team Avatar more than pull their weight as well. Katara of the freaking Southern Water Tribe doesn't have time for anyone's BS. There's this legendary waterbending master who refuses to train her because she's a girl. So what does she do?
I'll be outside if you're man enough to fight.
She takes him on full force in front of the entire tribe. Then there's Toph, who makes every other earthbender look like they're playing with rocks. The girl figured out how to bend the earth inside metal. Haru's just not that impressive by comparison. That leaves us with Sokka. Truth be told, I found him to be quite annoying when I was a kid.
I've come to train with the master.
As an adult, though, I relate a lot more to his grumpy cynicism and brilliant tactical mind. Not only that, but the kid has mad haiku skills.
Squish squash, sling that slang!
Prince Zuko. Of all the characters in Avatar, one is definitely the standout.
Off my ship!
Prince Zuko is everything Kylo Ren ever wished he was. The disgraced son of the Fire Lord goes from being an outcast to the most metal character ever on kids' TV. That's not surprising, since he was played by Hook's Rufio, who was basically the most metal character in a kid's movie. In the 3rd episode of the series, he challenged a high-ranking Fire Nation warrior to a fire duel and won. He even refused to finish it just to prove he was the bigger man. In Season 2, Jet rolls up on Zuko in the tea shop with swords drawn. Zuko doesn't even blink as he pulls 2 swords off a customer and shows Jet how much of a punk he is without even using firebending. Iroh even refuses to shoot lightning at him, so he goes off and dares a storm to strike him down just for the practice. He's got crazy ninja skills as the Blue Spirit, was basically made into Clint Eastwood in Zuko alone and becomes the youngest Fire Lord ever. The real heart of his story comes from his relationship with his uncle Iroh. He helps Zuko discover who he truly is and not who his father set him up to be. It doesn't hurt that Iroh was voiced by the legendary Mako. May he rest in peace. The man voiced Iroh and Aku from Samurai Jack. If that isn't enough to make you a legend, what is? Long before Thanos was teasing his face to MCU fans, the Avatar villains were hyping themselves up. We don't fully see Ozai, the main villain of the series, until Season 3. Azula appears in every opening sequence but isn't introduced until the very end of Season 2. Say what you want to about the Ozai family, but they really know how to be dramatic. When it was finally time to see Azula and Ozai in action, they did not disappoint. They were hyping Aang versus Ozai the entire series, and it was so worth it. Even with all 4 elements mastered, he barely scraped by against the Phoenix King. Ozai's also voiced by the Joker and Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill. As if you needed another reason to love the guy. Let's face it, as cool as Ozai turned out to be, Azula is the real villain of Avatar. Has there ever been a character that you loved to hate quite as much as her? She's a lightning-throwing, fire-bending prodigy, a tactical genius, and a straight-up sociopath. In the last episode, her final duel against Zuko and Katara was more gripping than anything the Fire Lord was up to, and that's saying something. The first thing that jumps out about Avatar: The Last Airbender is how much pure freaking fun it is. In a world where so many franchises decide to go the grim and gritty route, looking at you, Game of Thrones, Avatar goes a different way. From the first episode where Aang teaches the weary Southern Water Tribe kids how to play like kids, the show charms you with its light, fun tone. No matter how dark the show gets, it never forgets to find the fun. Aang is pretty much as motivated to learn all the elements as he is to riding every fun animal in the world. See, Aang manages to create a beautiful zoo in under a minute. Let's see you do that, Tiger King. Not only does the show feature so many fun moments like this, but it serves the themes of the show. Aang has to learn from several different teachers over the series, but he possesses a wisdom of his own. The series never forces Aang to grow up like many other shows would have. Instead, it shows how much wisdom there is in keeping that childlike sense of fun and innocence. So every time you catch yourself smiling at a fun Avatar scene, don't get embarrassed. Revel in it. That's what Aang would want. People love to talk about the incredible world created by the Star Wars, Lord of the Rings trilogy, and Harry Potter franchises. In these conversations, somehow people completely forget to talk about how cool the world of Avatar is. Avatar has a world that's just as dense and incredible as any of its contemporaries. Each place they visit has its own history, from Kyoshi Island to the abandoned air temples. The best settings in the show are the massive bending cities, though. The Northern Water Tribe exists in this giant city made of ice. The show really drives into how every part of this city could work in a world where humans can control water and ice. Everything from the ice gates to the canal system is thought through to the point where it feels like you could step into the city from the television. The one that gets the most attention is the fascinating city of Ba Sing Se. The show spends several episodes with the city from multiple perspectives. We get to see everything from its complex inner politics to its difficult immigration system. No other Nickelodeon show does that. They never dive into the inner politics of SpongeBob's Bikini Bottom, no matter how many letters I send them. Action sequences in some cartoons can get kind of boring. Sometimes they just evolve into hard-to-follow punchathons that have no real substance. The action sequences in Avatar are not like that at all. Every bending move in the series is based on real Chinese martial arts. The waterbenders use Tai Chi, the earthbenders use Hungar Kung Fu, the firebenders use Northern Shaolin Kung Fu, and the airbenders use Ba Gua, or circle walking. All of these moves were heavily researched and assisted by real martial arts experts. Not only that, but the non-bending characters have unique skill sets of their own. Whether it's Azula's sidekicks, Ty Lee or Mei, or the Kyoshi warriors, everyone in Avatar gives 112%. These characters either have unique weapons like the Kyoshi warrior fans, or use variations on martial arts that make them formidable even to benders. Tell me you didn't freak out the first time you saw Ty Lee take out Katara's bending. More than that, though, Avatar often uses these scenes to tell a story. In The Blue Spirit, Aang and Zuko fight together and discover how formidable a team they make. Little did we know that they were just planting seeds for Zuko to train Aang in Season 3. That's some impressive foreshadowing right there. As fun as Avatar can be, it still manages to lay down some tough philosophical questions. The road to saving the world and gaining redemption is a rocky one that's filled with dubious choices and unsettling realities. In the very first season, Aang has to deal with two tribes who have been feuding for generations. The two sides are so deeply entrenched into their feud that they turn Sokka and Katara against each other. Aang manages to coax them into working together by lying to them about their own history. It's played for laughs, but that's a pretty messed up thing to do. In the end of the first season, Admiral Zhao destroys the Spirit of the Moon. Sokka's girlfriend Yue has to give up her life to save the moon. That leads to some awkwardness as Sokka tries to romance Suki while his jealous ex, the Moon, watches over him. One of the biggest surprises in the series is when the gang watches a Fire Nation play about themselves. They get to witness firsthand how the Fire Nation has bent their story into propaganda. Not many children's cartoons deal with propaganda and brainwashing, but Avatar goes there. If someone were to tell you about the complex lore of Avatar, you'd think they were talking about a 10-part book series. Frankly, it's incredible how much they managed to pack into 3 seasons of 20-minute episodes. Throughout the gang's journey, they're introduced to all sorts of crazy things. Aang frequently has to go to the spirit world where he faces off against creepy monsters that steal faces and angry pandas. They also deal with an ancient library sunken into the sand that's guarded by a giant owl. Interestingly enough, real libraries have a surprising lack of giant owl guardians. The main event, though, is the Avatar reincarnation cycle. Aang discovers that he's one in a long line of avatars who have all had their own epic journeys. The one we get to see the most of is Roku, who was close to Fire Lord Sozin before their falling out led to the Fire Nation's rampage. The most interesting of the avatars is undoubtedly Avatar Kyoshi. In one episode, Aang has to stand trial for a crime she's accused of. She appears to everyone as a ghost/surprise witness where she straight up confesses to the crime and shows absolutely no remorse for it. Netflix, you can make us all an Avatar Kyoshi show, if you want. If there's one problem with Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's that there isn't enough of it. While many shows go on for like 7 seasons, Avatar ends after 3. Luckily, Nickelodeon heard our cries of anguish and decided to have mercy upon us by delivering a sequel. Avatar: The Legend of Korra is definitely a worthy successor to The Last Airbender. It expands upon the world Aang left behind and even allows it to change. The world has advanced through industrialization into this cool steampunk world. There are bending sports, massive cities, and even scarier villains. Not only that, but Korra is another fantastic leading character. When the series starts, she's already well on her way to mastering all of the elements. Korra also had a love interest that shook the internet when its finale dropped. After years of fans shipping it, Korra ends up with Asami, making her an LGBTQ icon aside from just the savior of the world. Netflix, hurry up and get the rights to Legend of Korra already. If you're like everyone else and you binged all of Avatar, don't worry. Netflix is already working on a live-action adaptation of the original series. So far, we don't know much about it, but we do know that the creators are heavily involved this time around. Plus, they have quite the leg up. Since M. Night Shyamalan directed The Last Airbender so terribly, now they know all the things not to do.
It's time for you to stop doing this!
Not only that, but they are releasing the first Avatar novels dealing with the life and times of Avatar Kyoshi. So Netflix wouldn't have any trouble at all adapting that into another animated series if they wanted to. I mean, she created an entire island just because she couldn't deal with people's nonsense anymore. We all need to get on her level. Aside from that, there are plenty of comics out there that detail what Aang and the gang got up to since the series ended. They deal with the big mystery about Zuko's mother and fill in some of the gaps between Last Airbender and Legend of Korra. Honestly though, this is probably all just the tip of the iceberg. Avatar has been a huge hit for Netflix and is finally getting the respect it deserves. The sky's the limit on what this franchise could become. I know I'll be watching. And there you have it, all the reasons why Avatar The Last Airbender is just the best. What do you guys think? Which series is better, Last Airbender or Legend of Korra? Let us know in the comments down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to CBR for more Avatar content.